What is going on, everybody? And welcome back to the Kellycast. The grind starts right now, Mike. The draft is finally over. Me and you can finally talk some more football. What have you been doing during the off season so far? We haven't seen you in a while.
I have been getting disappointed by the Sabres. Watching
What,
a
you
little
didn't
bit
like
of
the
playoff
Lindy Ruff
hockey.
signing?
Oh no, I love the Lindy Ruff signing. I'm
Okay.
just saying, like through
Okay.
the season.
Gotcha.
So, another a 13th year. They're trending after the Bills did for quite a while.
Yep.
It's
Hey, the Bandits won last night. Did you hear about that?
yeah. I
It
saw the
was
Bandits are
10-9 overtime goal by Josh Bird. Beautiful. It was awesome. I watched it last night. If you didn't, Buffalo sports, you either love it or you hate it. That's how it goes. But like we said, the draft came and gone, rounds 1 through 7, and the Buffalo Bills making some major moves throughout this draft. Some that were happy for some that were angry for some. I know a lot of people were like, "Oh my God, I'm so done trusting the process and all this stuff." And I'm not quite there yet.
Yep.
But if you guys are new here, my name's Dan. That's Mike. We're cousins. We do the Kellycast, cover the NFL, the Buffalo Bills. Today, we are focused on going over the Buffalo Bills draft. If you guys aren't aware of some of the guys that the Bills drafted, maybe you'll learn a little something here today. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe. You can also find us on Facebook over at the Kellycast. Without further ado, Mike, I think it's time to get started here and talk about these new rookies for the Buffalo Bills. So, we're going to go back to Thursday night, April 25th. The Buffalo Bills hold the 28th pick in the first round. Everybody's still awake. The draft has been going on for what feels like 8 hours. And all of a sudden, you see trade.
I actually stayed awake this time.
Did you?
I actually stayed awake, and I was angry.
Did you stay
I was
awake
angry.
for the next trade too?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I did not, because I was so angry. I just said, I'm going back to bed. I can't believe you are gifting Kansas City another. Just here you go. And I think you showed me a comment.
Yeah, that was funny. Whoever that Chiefs fan was that commented on that video, I hope they stick around because they got some humor going on. But if you guys haven't seen, I did upload an instant reaction from myself and Aaron, who you finally met on the Kellycast here. Happy to have him aboard. But that was instant reaction. And after taking a second, I watched Brandon Beane's press conference the next day, and I knew he was going to say things like, "Oh, well, we didn't have any first-round grades," or "the guy we wanted wasn't there," or whatever, right? But the one thing he said that really resonated with me was the Buffalo Bills did not value Xavier Worthy as a first-round pick for the Bills, right? And that makes sense. That whatever, that's fine. So at that point, do you take him to spite Kansas City, even though you like it, even though you don't want him? Or do you make a selection there, one that you don't think is valuable to you, because obviously it wasn't, they traded out, and
Right.
let Kansas City trade up with the next team and get Xavier Worthy anyway? Because they weren't just calling the Bills. They were probably calling a lot of teams in front of them. It just happened to be that Kansas City was the first team to give the Bills what they wanted. They didn't want to move down too far. They obviously didn't.
Yeah, and I believe Bean explained it as like you said, they didn't value him as a first round pick, and that somebody else was going to trade for him, so why not get the assets yourself?
Exactly, right? And I still don't love it in my head, because when I look at that piece of paper, it says Buffalo Bills trade with Kansas City Chiefs, and to me it hurts.
It kills you. It kills you inside as a Bills fan. But as like he said, they didn't have a third round pick. They're excited to get in the third round pick.
Yeah, and the Bills can still win this trade, right? I know Xavier Worthy, and I said it. He's one of the favorites for Rookie of the Year. He's got Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. But if the Bills make something of these picks,
who is an absolute guru with guys with speed?
Yeah, I know.
And that's why it kills. I probably would have taken the guy, but that's not the Bills style. The Bills style is clearly not speed.
And on top of that, I think the Bills came out with some well-rounded pieces, and we'll get into that a little bit more here. So now the Bills hold the 32nd pick in the first round. everybody had left the draft party except for me. It was me and Aaron sitting on the couch watching this. And we were joking. We are like, oh, they're going to trade back again. And we're watching, and I see the Bills logo. I see the time counting down, tick, tick, tick. And all of a sudden, I see a different shade of baby blue in the left-hand corner of the screen. And it's the Carolina Panthers. And I was just like, ah! Okay, so the Bills trade 32 to Carolina. Now, this is the trade I wanted more from, kind of, because Bills give up 32 and 200 a pick in the 6th round, and they get 33, which is the next pick, and 141 in the 5th. Now, I don't know what Carolina had elsewhere, because obviously they were short on picks because of getting Bryce Young last year. I would have wanted a little more to move into the 1st round, to just give up a 5th and to move one spot back. I would have wanted like a 4, but, maybe that's being a little greedy. Carolina ends up picking Xavier Legette, who a lot of people had him coming to Buffalo. A lot of people had, the guy who went to Kansas City at pick 28 coming to Buffalo, but it seems the Bills didn't want any of them. Even McConkey. McConkey was discussed. Brian Thomas obviously came off the board too quick. What a lot of people think, and I'm in this camp as well, is that once Brian Thomas Jr. was selected by Jacksonville around 17, Buffalo was done. That's who they wanted. I'm fairly certain.
What do you think they see that they don't see in that player that got picked?
That's a great question. I mean, when it comes to Worthy in Kansas City, obviously perfect situation, right? We know perfect marriage. The guy's fast. That's not what the Bills need right now, right? They need a true number 2 wide receiver, if not a number 1. I'm not going to say Keon Coleman's going to be a number 1. He wasn't a top 10 pick. He wasn't a top 20 pick, right? So I'm not going to sit here today and tell you that he's going to be a number 1. I will say he's funny as hell because he's got some personality on him. This jacket was from Macy's, $79.99.
He reminds you a little bit of Marshawn when he came into the league. He was very outspoken.
Well, this guy's also very confident. He's ranging on the egotistical side a bit, but I love it.
As was Lynch. As was Lynch, clearly, and he's been, which is why he's still a staple. Kind of like Fitzmagic.
Mitchell ends up sticking around for a long time. I think he ended up in Indianapolis, and he has a very high ceiling, but there's also concerns with durability for Adonai Mitchell. The other receivers that they were linked to, McConkey and Legette. McConkey goes to the Chargers in the 2nd round right after the Bills took Coleman. And I think what it comes down to is the interview process. What happened behind closed doors that we don't know, right? Because we know the 40 time. We know the tests, but we don't know what happens in those rooms when guys are asked, hey, what is this play in our playbook?
Maybe they pulled the $100 bill from draft day.
From draft day, yeah. Maybe, but I don't think so. So now the Bills don't have a 1st round pick, and we're moving on to day 2. We got to wait a whole 24 hours on top of the 4 hours we just wasted, which I got to ask you this because I feel like you're going to agree. We were having a discussion at the draft party. I feel like the NFL makes teams wait to make their selection because they want to be on air longer. Would you agree?
In a way, maybe, but I also think that during your pick, you're also working through exactly who you want to pick because you've got a million things as a GM going through your mind in that 4 minutes to pick.
Well, you got 10 minutes to pick on round 1, but let's talk about Chicago. Chicago knew who they were taking. They were taking Caleb Williams. We all knew it. And they still took 6 minutes to make a pick.
That the 1st round pick, yeah, okay, there I would tend to agree. Yeah. The very first pick when everybody knows, yeah, probably.
Okay, cool.
I would say that.
So let's talk a little bit about the Bills' first pick this year. Keon Coleman, pick 33. The man's enormous. 6'3", 6'4", 213 pounds. He did run a 4.6, which on paper, not great. You typically want a guy, 4.4, 4.3 would be great. 4.2 even better. 4.6 not great, but he plays faster. Not everybody runs a great 40. Not everybody tests well. And because of that, sometimes you slide down the board. And I think that's what happened here with Keon Coleman. I watched a lot of him talking yesterday, not just in the press conference, but there was another thing with, I think, Matty Glab from the Bills. Mm-hmm. And he said that he makes what we call a 50-50 ball, right? When the quarterback throws it up and 50-50, whoever gets it. Yeah. He said his goal is to make that 80-20 or 90-10. He said, if I don't get it, nobody's getting it. So he's a very physical guy, able to win. And I was thinking about this yesterday, like, if he turns out to be what Gabe Davis did his first 3 years here, I think we'd be happy. But what we want to see, obviously, that's different from him and Gabe would be consistency. I think that's the one thing that we're looking for. And I also saw that, you know, this guy, Coleman, so far, and this is in terms of draft profiles, you got to remember, guys, people get this stuff wrong all the time. J.J. Watt comes out. They say these crazy things. Andrew Luck comes out. They say these crazy things, right? These negatives. So take the negatives with a grain of salt. Take the positives with a grain of salt. But from what I'm reading, Coleman does not have the highest ceiling, but he can come in and be a huge weapon for Josh. I read that he's the perfect weapon for a guy like Josh Allen. So once I heard that, I was all in on Coleman. So
okay, I can dig it. Can't wait to see him.
Now, question for you, Mike. Were you expecting wide receiver with that first pick after they traded out of the first round?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right. Absolutely, 100,000%. I mean, it was wide receiver or bust. We traded. So we traded and or got rid of. Couldn't sign every wide receiver we had.
They did sign a receiver today, by the way. The Buffalo Bills did sign a wide receiver just today. I forget exactly his name. Here it is. Quintez Cephas. Now, Quintez Cephas played with the Detroit Lions for the past couple of years now, and he is coming off of a year-long suspension for gambling. And he is now a part of the Buffalo Bills. I don't know if Cephas gambled on football, if he gambled on something else, because I do remember some of those gambling problems you and me had a discussion about, where if you're in the facility and you place a bet on a basketball game, it's gambling and you're suspended. So I'll have to look more into Quintez Cephas, but, you know, the Bills did sign a new wide receiver, so it'll be interesting. Obviously, he's going to fight in camp, but what I like to think of here is the Bills predominantly go after defense, Mike. We know that, especially in the first round. That's what Bean likes to do. That's what the Bills like to do. They go after defensive guys. And Cooper DeJean's sitting there right there, the corner, the white corner that everybody wants to talk about. He also plays safety. He also plays nickel. And they could have taken him. They could have, because he would have been good. He would have been really good here. But they end up going with what they need. And obviously, they saw something good in Keon Coleman. They obviously didn't have him as a first-round pick, though, as a grade. You got to think, because Brandon Beane always talks about his grades. He says, you know, I have so many first-round grades and then more second-round grades. This guy must have been a second-round grade because they didn't take him in the first round. So that tells me that they knew other teams didn't like him as much, but obviously they did, right? So next up, the Bills come up in the second round. Or is this the third round? Is 60? No, 60's in the second round because 30, 60, 90. So, yeah. Almost the end of the second round. The Bills select safety Cole Bishop, Utah Ute, with pick 60. First thing you got to know about Cole Bishop, Mike, he was a teammate of Dalton Kincaid.
Heard a little snippet of him saying that Dalton talked him up. Bean talking to him over the phone. Yeah. Dalton talked him up, he said, and proved everything, or backed everything you said in the interview, buddy.
Yeah,
what he
that's
said,
great. So. This guy's just smart, man. He knows ball. He's able to play both safety positions, which is huge because in the NFL, it's kind of taken a turn, right? It used to be free safety plays deep, strong safety plays in the box. And with some teams, that is how it still works. But not in Buffalo. In Buffalo, those roles are interchangeable. You know, if you can play free, you can play strong. I don't even think we have what you call a free and a strong safety. We just have safeties, okay? So Bishop coming in, being able to play either of those is great. He's very versatile. Again, can play in the slot, can play down in the box, can play deep in coverage. And also, one of his pluses, Mike, that you're going to be excited about, that Bills Mafia is going to go crazy over. This guy can play man coverage against tight ends. Anybody know the name Travis Kelce? Anybody familiar with that?
Because never heard of the guy.
He's been.
Who is she?
He's been a He's been a guy that has destroyed the Buffalo Bills playoff hopes. Gronk, obviously retired now, but these kind of guys just absolutely kill the game. So having a kid like Bishop come in, a smart guy, ready to be a sponge, really good pick here. I love this pick after watching some tape and hearing him talk. I think he's going to be a really good weapon here. Moving on into the third round, the Buffalo Bills select defensive tackle Dwayne Carter, pick 95. Now, Carter, Mike, the interesting thing about him was when he was getting interviewed on Zoom with the Bills, his family was going crazy in the other room. So he gets up and he goes, "Hey, quiet down, yo." So the next question was from Mookie Hawkins. And he goes, Don't call a penalty on the family for being loud. This is your night, man. They're excited. I thought that was kind of funny. But the one thing that really sticks out with Dwayne Carter, Mike, he is a leader of men on his football team. Everybody at Duke says that he was the guy, that he called the plays. He was on defense. And the Bills lost 6 captains during the offseason. 6. I think we only had 6 captains.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe it was 7. Because
we had to have 7 because
Josh had to be a captain. But Diggs, Morse.
Yeah, because we had like 9.
You're losing. You lost a lot. So I think the leadership of Dwayne Carter is huge. He's going to come in, probably play a rotational role. Maybe he wins the spot next to Ed Oliver. As of now, I think this was a good value pick. 6'2", 302 pounds. Again, out of Duke. What do you think? Did the Bills need a defensive tackle in this draft?
It seems like the Bills always need a defensive tackle because they draft at least one every year.
So. Don't worry, they'll take a defensive end later too.
and a defensive end. They're always looking at D tackles and looking to improve on the line. So, did they need them with the exit of Phillips, Jordan Phillips, possibly?
That's a good point. Phillips ate a lot of blocks. We'll see if Carter can do the same. Next up, in the 4th round, the Buffalo Bills select running back Ray Davis out of Kentucky, pick 128. You're talking about draft day. Ray was the name of the running back in draft day, Ray Jennings, who was played by Arian Foster, by the way, which is really weird that they got that, but I thought it was really cool. 5'8", 211, his 40, again, ran a 4.52. Not great for a running back, but again, I think he plays faster. One of the things I read about him is that he is very reliable in the pass game, so he can catch passes very well.
Okay.
I think he's going to be a good complement to James Cook. I don't know if it's going to quite be thunder and lightning. We know James Cook can't really... He's got the quick speed, but he doesn't have the long speed. And Ray Davis, on the other hand, gets faster as he goes. He doesn't have the short speed. So I think they're 2 different kinds of backs. And I was asked, because the Bills brought back Ty Johnson. Why did they draft a running back? Well, A, competition, necessary. B, young guy. And C, Ty Johnson's not proven yet. We know he was a change of pace guy. He was really helpful to the Bills offense last year. But who knows if that's going to be, the way it goes moving forward. So
right.
I think that was a very interesting pick. Next up, one of everybody's favorite picks here from the Buffalo Bills, and this is pick 141 out of Georgia. This guy's got so many names, Mike. Cedric Van Pran Granger. I want his jersey.
Glad you said it then, rather than me.
Van Pran Granger on the back of the jersey. That's going to be beautiful. I wonder how they're going to space it. But he is a center out of Georgia, and this guy has been there for 2 years. Last year, gave up 0 sacks and 13 pressures via PFF, and you're telling me he falls to pick 141. 6'4", 298. I think he can compete for the starting role, depending on, how McGovern does over at center. But even if he doesn't, I think this is going to be a really good backup option and a guy who can develop underneath, the guys that we already have. I think they were going to address offensive line in this draft, and they did with a couple of picks, not just this one.
Yep.
But this one probably going to make the most impact. We're getting into that range, guys, here, 4th, 5th, 6th rounds, where not everybody's going to make the team. Not everybody has positives. There's negatives coming up on these players. So, again, take it with a grain of salt. But the next thing the Bills do is they trade right here. They trade for a 2025 4th-round pick from Chicago, and they give up a 5th this year to get a 4th next year. because they had so many picks, they just didn't want it, I guess. Who cares? That's fine. I'm good with that. Now we have 2 2s and 2 4s next year. Let's see what happens, right? Moving on, the Buffalo Bills at pick 160. Yes, this is only like 20 picks after the last one. They had a lot of picks this year. You were happy I said the last name. How about this one, Mike? Edafwan Ulafoshio out of Washington, pick 160.
Fosho.
I don't know if he's going to be good enough to get a nickname, Mike, because this is the pick that I question the most out of everybody that they selected, other than obviously the 7th round pick. But injuries had Ulafoshio slip down the board. I read that he has a lack of instincts, which you don't want to see, but he is coming to a place. He is coming to a place where there is really good coaching, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Next up, Buffalo trades again. This time, they trade a 5th rounder this year for Green Bay's 5th and their 6th. So first, they didn't want the picks. Now they want more, because obviously the board is falling in a way, right? It's falling in a way that the Bills are interested in. So, far be it from me to slight them. I think they did a fair job here at this draft. Are there teams that did better than them? Probably.
But if you go from my point of view, which you absolutely hate, which is the whole draft is a crapshoot anyways, then what's the difference?
But it's not a whole, come on.
It's a calculated crapshoot.
You remember Puka Nacua?
Yeah.
4th round pick last year?
Yep.
Broke every record?
Yeah. Remember Tom Brady?
No.
Became the greatest ever. He was a 6th round pick. Last of the 6th round pick.
Of course.
So,
and it all depends. All these guys have the ability to succeed. They were drafted in the NFL. Congratulations to them all, of course. But I just think, when you're getting down this far down the board,
100%,
I don't know.
The chance gets a lot less.
And less. Next up, the Buffalo Bills selected defensive end Javon Solomon from Troy, pick 168. This guy, I read that he's always around the ball, great against the run, and I think he could join the rotation of pass rushers. I actually like Solomon more than I liked Ulafoshio. So we'll see. I hope it's not a similar situation to when the Bills selected Kaiir Elam in the 1st round and Christian Benford in the 6th. Remember that? And Benford has obviously worked out, and Elam not so much, but we do still have hosts for you, my friend. Moving on here.
Change a number will help.
Maybe. We'll see. Buffalo Bills next select an offensive tackle out of UCF. Tylen Grable, pick 204. 6'6", 306. This guy's a raw prospect. Plain and simple, he is not ready right now. This is why he goes in the 6th round, so late in the draft. He's just not there. Can he get there? Sure. But right now, you're just taking flyers on guys, right? So
sure,
I think it's okay, especially the offensive tackle route. That's one of the premier positions in football nowadays, so you do need to have somebody over there. We got 2 picks to go. Next up, the Bills select cornerback Daquan Hardy out of Penn State, pick 219. This one confused me because this guy's position, says corner, he's a slot corner, okay? Now, what do the Bills have that's one of the best in the league? A slot corner. Taron Johnson, one of the best slot corners in the league, top 5 for sure. So at first I was questioning this, but then I read that Daquan Hardy could be a really good special teams player. Again, taking a flyer on a guy, I'm not mad at it. And with the final pick for the Bills in the 7th round, they select Travis Clayton, the offensive tackle out of England, International Pathway Program. He's never played a snap of football.
We did well with the last one. I mean, he didn't end up making the team, but I mean, he had a few little bright spots in there. It was pretty cool.
Favorite Christian Wade, but Travis Clayton, obviously a very, very raw prospect. Needs reps, needs work. Maybe the intangibles work, and the guy becomes a superstar. Who knows? Obviously, we hope that for all of the Bills draft picks and a lot of the picks
plus,
that were
Plus,
selected.
I would love to see one of the guys through the pathway program just make it in the league. I think that would be a cool story.
That'd be great for England, and it'd be great for the NFL as a whole, because the marketing you can get off of that would be insane. Yeah. After the draft was complete, the Bills did sign a handful of unrestricted free agents. and I'm not going to name all of them because I don't think there's a need to, but I have 2 here, and I'll let you take that third one, okay? So the first interesting player the Bills signed was an offensive guard named Keaton Bills. Tell me you're not going to get his jersey, Mike. Tell me.
I might have to if he gets a spot in the jersey number. I don't think he can. I mean, every guy in my jersey collection place that collects these, the team knows that the teams put out when they change formats on this, they put out like a bill. It'll be like 60 bills or the year, and then it'll say Bills on the nameplate. So your jersey is now valid, guys.
I love it, man. This guy just fell into the perfect situation. I hope he's a superstar. Fantastic. The other guy they signed that I was excited for is Jack Browning, who's a punter. I think we didn't see great stuff from Martin last year. The year before, I was really happy with him, but last year, not so much. I think bringing in an unrestricted free agent here out of the draft is very smart on special teams. You don't have to waste a pick on it. He's obviously still available. So the other guy the Bills signed, Mike, I'm going to let you take over with this, but I was very excited when I saw this.
The last guy was Mr. Frank Gore Jr. I actually have his dad's signature sitting right up there behind.
We're going to have to get his signature now.
So now I absolutely have to find a way to get his signature so I can have father and son. I'll take it. And you know what? Frank Gore made a pretty bold statement. Frank Gore Sr. said that, everybody who passed up on my boy is going to be sorry.
Oh, yeah?
So he said he's got the same vision. He said it's in my blood. It's in my DNA. They were soft on me, and look what I turned out to be, basically. So
yeah,
don't sleep on my boy.
That's a really good point. I should have more draft content coming out for you guys, maybe by other people, maybe by us. We'll have to see. There were some questionable first-round picks. There were some great first-round picks. I think, obviously, what we're worried about, New England Patriots selecting Drake May, the quarterback, at pick 3. I saw an offer. Did you see the offer I shared on the Kellycast Facebook page? Once again, the Patriots were offered pick 11, pick 23, and a pick swap in the first round next year, and they said no. That's crazy to me. They must have knew Drake May was their guy.
Yeah, they had them set, but they thought Mac was their guy too. So we'll see. But I think
Mac wasn't pick 3; he was pick 15.
I think, to me, the most surprising thing of the draft was the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah,
picking a quarterback after they just gave $100 million to a quarterback.
Well, not only that, but a 4-year contract as well. But in terms of the NFL, it's a business, right? And we know the Packers did this. They took Jordan Love when they didn't need to, and Jordan Love's been working out. So, I think we got to give the benefit of the doubt to the Falcons. Otherwise, in the division, I don't really know what the Dolphins did. I wasn't paying too much attention to them. I didn't see anything that was like game-changing. Same thing with the Jets. Obviously, we talked about Kansas City already. I think one of the teams that possibly won the draft was the Eagles. They got 2 corners, one of them being DeJean and another first-round talent at corner that they're just building up. Obviously, I think they need work because we saw what they did last year. A couple of draft trends.
Yeah, and Sirianni's going to be on the hot seat this year, I think. So
possibly, if they don't do well. There was a couple of draft trends this year, though, Mike. 6 quarterbacks went in the top 12 of the first round, and then they didn't go for another 80 picks. There was not another quarterback selected. 0 quarterbacks selected in the second and third round. And it was also the first time that a defensive player was not selected in the top 10 in the first round. So very interesting 2024 NFL draft. We want to thank you guys for sticking through it with us. Today was a little bit of a long video, but I think it was necessary. I think we had fun, good time. Hopefully we'll be back soon. Got some ideas chirping on in the brain, seeing what we can do during the offseason this year to keep it interesting. And we will talk to you guys later. As always, leave a like, share, subscribe. Find us on Facebook at the Kellycast. That's Mike. I'm Dan. And we'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Take it easy.
Adios.